Okay, hello everyone. Um, this is my first video, so please forgive me if I sound a little nervous. My first main video, anyway. I used to make like sorts of weird videos in the past. But I decided that now would be a good time to actually make a Christian testimony, because I don't really see anyone around here, and pretty sure I'm alone. So I thought this would be a good time and a good place to do it. So I'll probably make this into several parts. It's probably going to have to be pretty long. But this will be part one. So I'll start. Sorry, I'm just, this just feels unnatural to me, speaking to myself while I'm walking through the woods. So, like many people around here, I was raised as a Catholic. And for much of my life, I didn't really care about God that much, or religion, or anything like that. I feel like a lot of people that are actually raised in a non-Catholic, truly Christian household, they think Catholics are like a cult. And now that I know the truth, I'd say there's some truth to that, but I'd say for the majority of just normal Catholics that aren't priests or anything like that, I'd say most of them are more agnostic than anything, really. Like, I remember I would just pray at funerals, or when I was maybe really sick or in pain. I would pray at school when we were required to pray together and before we ate, because I went to a Catholic school. But other than that, I didn't care about God too much for much of my life. So I think what really changed that is probably a combination of two things. For a while, I thought it was only one thing, but now that I think about it, I really think it was really two things. Sorry, there's a lot of mosquitoes around here, if you can't tell. So the first thing I'd like to mention, not necessarily in chronological order, but the more obvious one that I thought of is, I remember around 7th grade, probably into 8th grade, the Illuminati was becoming a popular subject of conversation. Not necessarily seriously, more as a joke. But I didn't really know what it was. So I looked it up, and for a while, maybe still now, you could even say I've been the kind of person that would believe anything anyone would say to me, as long as they have some form of evidence that seems legitimate. Like, I used to believe in aliens. For a while, I thought the earth was flat. I don't know if I'd say I've ever been 100% convinced of that, but fairly convinced. Yeah, so I think in a way that actually helped me, because I wasn't like a hardcore atheist. I actually didn't just believe in what the school system taught me. I actually, I believe what others had to say, really more than what the school had to say. And so I remember one time, like around 8th grade, maybe 7th grade, I was looking up the Illuminati on my Chromebook, and should probably keep walking. And there was this website. It said the official Illuminati website, and of course, me being me, I thought it was a legitimate website where you could actually join the Illuminati. But later I realized I was wrong, but that led me to a channel, which is, I would say, was the first time I actually really cared about God. And that channel was a call for an uprising. So he actually didn't talk about God really that much. He mainly just focused on exposing Satanists and Freemasonry. He would be what most people would call a conspiracy theorist. Although, of course, and still to this day, I just see him as someone who mainly preaches the truth. Sometimes, yes, I do think he goes too far. Like, he says that you shouldn't use the word "it" in certain idioms, like "believe it or not," or "it is what it is," because supposedly the word "it" is the name of a demon, and that's why there's a movie called "It." Now, though I believe that there could be a demon called "it," I don't believe that "it is what it is" is a satanic phrase. I don't believe that "believe it or not" is a satanic phrase, because it, at the end of the day, it is a third-person, non-human, I don't know what the specific grammatical term is, but third-person, not human, singular pronoun. That's all that it is. It is. So yeah, I definitely think he took things too far, but one thing I do commend him for, at least somewhat, is that he did talk about God on occasion. He did encourage people to read their Bible on occasion. So I had this Good News Translation Bible I got, I think, in 3rd grade. So I actually got that. I wouldn't read it every day, and the few days I would read it, I wouldn't read even a whole chapter, just like a whole section of a chapter maybe, because the chapters were divided into sections, because that's the way that that translation was. It had different sections, and a lot of them, they would be in like the 1st or 2nd Kings or in the Chronicles, and it also had the Apocrypha in it too. A lot of times I just found it hard to understand, because when you open a Bible at random, there's a much significantly higher chance that you will open it in the Old Testament instead of the New Testament. But it's the New Testament that is what really teaches you about Jesus. So there's that. But I do think this was at least the start of my relationship with God. And so the other thing I wanted to talk about is that I had panic attacks, I'd say starting around 6th grade maybe. And it's weird, you can almost call them demonic attacks, really, because it seemed like, so I should mention first that my old school, I don't know if I should mention the name, I guess I won't. But my old school, my middle school and elementary school, actually I think it was just in middle school that they did this. They took us to church every Thursday. It seemed like for a while, every time I went to church, I literally couldn't stand up because it was like I was having a panic attack. I just felt so anxious. I felt like I might pass out. And I literally had to like sit out of the main church building several times just because I thought I was going to pass out. And I actually heard that a lot of people were passing out. So that just made it worse, really. But it was through this that felt like I started to actually pray. I would just do a thumb prayer. I don't know, for you, those of you who aren't Catholic, you probably don't know what that is, but you literally just pray for something and do this. You go along your hand and it kind of forms a cross. You just think about it. For me, I felt like that was the most comfortable form of prayer because that way people didn't know I was praying. Because for a while I was still kind of anxious and embarrassed about knowing God that much. I didn't really want people to know it, even though I feel like I knew deep down that shouldn't be the case, but I was just, for my whole life, it seems like I've been a very nervous person, very introverted. I never had a lot of friends, and I was okay with that, really. I just liked spending time with myself. And I did enjoy spending time with my friends when I did spend time with them, but I feel like, especially now, a lot of my friends, they are like that too. They are actually more introverted. But it was through this that I really started to actually pray. And also around this time in middle school, I got myself addicted to, I don't know if my parents are going to see this, but I guess I should first mention that I promise I do not do this anymore. I have been freed from this, but you probably already know what I'm talking about. Sexual immorality, just to put it nicely. And I only actually watched like real pornography like one time, really. And the one time I just could not pleasure myself to it, because I thought like the guy in the video, he had to be at least like 45, you know. So it was disgusting. Trying not to make this funny. I don't know if that came off as kind of, anyway. So yeah, and I feel like, in a way, that actually helped me get free from that in a very weird way. But anyway, so I was addicted to it for a while. It's interesting because I kind of feel like I just taught myself how to do it. It's not like I actually heard any of my friends teaching me how to, tug on the rope, as they say, or whatever. I hope no one's hearing me. So I just I guess I just figured it out on my own, and then I got very addicted to it. And for a while, I didn't even know what I was doing. I didn't know it was wrong. Then it didn't take me long. I realized, this is wrong. Mainly because around this time. I also got myself quite, you could basically say, addicted, even though that may sound weird, but addicted, practically speaking, to memes. And a lot of the memes would actually, let's just say, a lot of the memes I were into were actually not wholesome. Even though, I guess I should mention this too, is for much of my life, I actually feel like, and I'm not trying to brag, but I feel like I have been a more moral person than most people. I said only like a few swear words in my entire life. And, I did, of course, do a lot worse things than say the swear words. But for some reason, I felt very nervous and uncomfortable with them. I feel like mainly because of my upbringing. My parents would get very angry at me when I didn't use them the few times that I did. So I guess just because of that, I was just scared to use them. It's just a fun fact, I guess. Trying to think what I was going to say. So it didn't take long until I realized that this was wrong. What I was doing was wrong, and I needed to get myself out of it. But of course, I was very addicted to it. And what made it worse is that I wasn't even watching like the real thing. I was watching real popcorn without the up. I was just looking at pictures on Instagram, really, of random people that were immodestly dressed. And I would do a lot of weird things. This one time I actually cut a hole into a pillow. You can maybe figure that out. And looking back, of course I'm ashamed of it now, and I was ashamed of it then too, but I just felt like I was stuck, I was truly addicted to it. And I would keep constantly praying to God to help me. And I would even pray to one psalm, I think it was Psalm 13, out of my Good News Translation Bible. But none of these things seem to significantly help. And looking back, this is what I feel like will really help people if they're watching this. Looking back, I feel like the reason those things didn't help is because I was only mentioning God in my prayers. I wasn't mentioning Jesus in my prayers, and I wasn't asking the Holy Spirit for his help in my prayers. I was just strictly speaking to God alone, God the Father alone. And I feel like that was what was preventing me from truly being delivered. Because the truth is, you don't need a pastor to deliver you from your addictions. You don't need to join a church to be delivered from your addictions. You don't need to read the whole Bible from cover to cover to be delivered. You just need Jesus Christ. And for a while, I feel like I knew that somewhere deep down, but it just didn't really occur to me to mention Jesus in my prayers. It just felt more natural to me just to pray to God. And even while I was a Catholic, I should mention this too, it never really seemed, I feel like, looking back, it never really seemed natural to me to pray to Mary or the saints. The few times that I would pray, I feel like I would just pray to God. And I would never ask God for forgiveness of anything, because I was taught that was what reconciliation was for. But the few times I did pray on myself, unless I was specifically told by a priest maybe to pray the Hail Mary, or I was praying the Hail Mary like with a class, but other than that, or praying the Rosary, other than that, I wouldn't pray to Mary or the saints on my own, I feel like. So I feel like that's just to let you know. I feel like most Catholics are that way, especially my generation. They don't really care too much about their faith, and they're not really in a cult. They're not like the way I picture Mormons, even though this might not even be true either, but I picture Mormons more as the young people are actually really into it, at least Mormon elders. That's certainly seems the way they come off to me. But there's probably a lot of Mormons that were raised Mormon. They consider themselves Mormon, but they also don't really care too much. I wouldn't be surprised. So anyways, while I was watching A Call for an Uprising, and I did start really caring about God, I was still following all the sinful things that I did beforehand. I would just watch his videos every now and again. And it's weird because I actually found it difficult kind of to watch his videos. I found them kind of boring, and at the time, I was thinking it must just be because he's just speaking and showing pictures and no real action. It's not like what I'm used to. It's not like the Minecraft videos that I'm used to watching, or the Jacksepticeye videos that I'm used to watching, or even the number file videos. Or I was, for a while, I've been interested in a lot of different things, that most people may not care about too much, like languages and math. I watch a lot of videos about this. But then every now and again, I feel like what really causes, first of all, is Call for an Uprising would recommend a few channels. He would recommend some like Talking Doctrine and some other channels that were like his. But Talking Doctrine was different in that it was actually not really focused on conspiracy theories primarily. It was primarily focused on really, what you would think. It was focused on biblical doctrine. And so I feel like from this, YouTube actually started recommending, or you could call it the work of God, probably was at least somewhat. YouTube started recommending Christian testimonies. And so I would watch those every now and again. Again, still watching stuff that I would like to watch, that my flesh would like to watch. But I will watch them every now and again and learn a thing or two and feel encouraged. Feel good that knowing that God is working in the world. But my life wasn't drastically changed until I watched this one. I don't even know what it's called, but I just remember there was a young girl, probably around like 20 years old. And to be honest, I don't even know what she was really saying in the testimony, but she just said something near the end. I remember I was watching this late at night. She said something near the end, and it actually made me cry. It made me feel actually a sense of guilt not necessarily true conviction, because I hadn't even prayed a prayer accepting Jesus Christ as my Savior at this time. But I still felt a sense of guilt about the videos I was watching. And I also should mention that while I was a teenager, or even maybe before that, I think it was starting at my 13th birthday, because I remember I got my iPhone 6S on my 13th birthday. Was when I started my Instagram account. Pretty much right off the bat, I just started posting memes. Because before this, I was interested in things that kind of led me into this. I would watch MLG montages, YouTube poops, stupid stuff like that I thought was funny, because I had a very unique sense of humor, I guess you could say. I wouldn't laugh at normal stuff, but I would laugh at that. And so that really led me into the world of memes. So even after watching that one testimony, I would still post memes for quite a while, because, I feel like I really got myself into it, and I already had a lot of meme accounts on Instagram following me that I didn't even know personally, because for a while my account was actually public. It was called, I don't know if I should mention it. I guess I could, why not? It was Your Boy G Mac was what it was called. And I changed the name now, so if you search that up, you probably won't find anything anyway. But from that one testimony, that's when I really felt guilty about just the videos I was watching. So I unsubscribed from every channel after watching that I felt was worldly, it was unnecessary. And to be honest, I feel like, but after that, remember there's this one time, I feel like I was kind of like sick or something, or tired, and I would watch. I feel like the only thing I would do, the only thing I felt like watching on YouTube, and the only thing I really felt like doing was watching Super Mario Logan videos for some point in time. And I feel like this was even after watching that. I don't know why. I feel like maybe you could say it was demons oppressing me or something like that. I don't know. But for a while, that's all that I felt like watching, even after watching that. But I do feel like that testimony greatly helped me. It was a big turning point in my life. So I stopped watching, for the most part, all of the stuff that I used to on a regular basis, and I would try to focus more on Christian stuff. And I would still watch stuff that wasn't Christian that I thought was wholesome, like Number File, like Half as Interesting, IBX2 Cat, a lot of channels that just presented random information that I would like. And you may think there was nothing wrong with that, and I did too. But quite a while later, I actually did feel conviction from all these things. And I remember, so I would stop, and then every now and again I'd just think to myself there was nothing wrong with it, so I'd go back. I felt conviction again. And looking back, I just feel like the only thing that logically makes sense, because really people making these videos, they weren't even swearing. They weren't making any worldly references. It was strictly just knowledge that I thought was cool and interesting about like geography, about history, about science, about math, and stuff like that, and language. But I just feel like it was a distraction to me. I should just be paying more attention to what is good and holy, and I shouldn't be spending so much time on my phone probably. So I feel like that is primarily probably why I felt that sense of conviction. Yeah. So probably gonna have to end this here since it's over 30 minutes. I'll make a part 2. I don't know how many parts it's gonna be, but I feel like I got some good information in. So goodbye. God bless you.